everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. Today's video is all about my TBR for June, and it features all of the books that have been on my physical TBR for the very longest. Hi everyone, welcome back to Alice and the Giant Bookshelf. My name's Alice, I have way too many books, and today is all about the books that I plan to read in June. Before we get into the TBR, I need to tell you my reasons behind this TBR. A little while ago, just before I started my booktube channel, I was going through one of my old book of books. This is the first book journal that I kept. I started it in 2007, and when I was going through this, in the back I found a list, and the list is called Books on My Book Pile, 30th of May 2008. And just to set the scene for you, this is back when my TBR was under control enough for it to be in an actual physical pile. The pile was on the floor of my bedroom in my old house, and it was getting pretty high, but that was all of my TBR. When I found this list, I thought, oh, books on my book pile from May 2008, how interesting. And I was horrified when I read this list, because nearly every single one of these books I have not read or did not read. Looking down this list in total horror, I realised that the vast majority of them have still not been read. This is 13 years ago. It's no wonder my TBR got so out of control. I can see where it started. Actually, one of the books in this pile was on an even older list, so I'll tell you about that when we get to that book. On the book list, books on my book pile, there were a total of 24 books. On that list of 24 books, I had read 6 of those books. I had unhauled 9 of the books without even reading them, and there are 9 still on my shelves unread. I don't really know why I've kept all of these books for so long. After discovering this ancient TBR that I still hadn't read any of, I set out to find the books on my bookshelves. Here's some footage of me finding the books. Some of them won't be included because I did have to go out to my garage to find them. In June, I'm going to attempt to read the very oldest books on my TBR. Today I thought I would tell you a little bit about each of these books, and you can have a guess in the comments down below. How many of these do you think I can read in the month of June? It definitely won't be the whole pile. There's no way I'll read 11 books in a month. Plus, as you can see, some of them are actually quite chunky books. I'd love to see your comments down below. Please put in the number that you think I will read out of 11. I am going to try really hard to DNF these books if I really do not enjoy them. I find it really hard to DNF books because I always think there's going to be some redeeming quality. I don't like DNFing books, but the reality is these have been on my shelf for 13 years. If I don't like them, I need to unhaul them and make space on my bookshelf. So without any further ado, let's look at what's on the list. The first book on the pile is The Business of Dying by Simon Kernick. You're going to notice in this pile that there are quite a few thrillers. These are the sort of books that I was reading in 2008. I mean, I probably still do enjoy them now. We'll see. I don't actually know what this book is about. I have read a few other Simon Kernick books. It's a cold November night and DS Dennis Milne is waiting to kill 3 unarmed men. Cynical and jaded, Milne earns money on the side by doing what he does best, punishing the bad guys. But he's been set up. This time, instead of shooting drug dealers, he kills 2 customs officers and an accountant. The hunter has become the hunted. With his colleagues and his enemies closing in on him, Milne must use all of his skills just to stay alive. I'll see if I get to this one in June. Oh, if you see any books on this list that you think I should read first or that you highly recommend, please do let me know in the comments, because at the moment I really don't know where to start. The second book on the pile, this is probably the book that I think I've had the longest. It was on the list of books I bought in December 2007. I've read other Lisa Gardner books before. I think I actually bought this one new. It's got a Borders sticker on the back, $6.99 from Borders. Again, this sounds quite thrillerish. I've read the book that it says Lisa Gardner is the best-selling author of. I've read The Killing Hour. This one says, an armed man has barricaded himself in with his wife and child. Through the scope of his sniper rifle, State Trooper Bobby Dodge watches the hostage standoff unfold and has only a split second to react. 25 years ago, Catherine Gagnon was buried underground during a nightmare of abduction and abuse. Now her husband has been killed and her father-in-law, Judge Gagnon, blames Catherine. What brings Bobby and Catherine together is a moment of violence, but what connects them is far more dangerous. A killer is loose, and no one will see death coming until it has them cornered, helpless, and alone. The third book on my pile, continuing the theme of thrillers, is by Simon Beckett, and it's called Written in Bone. I think I might have even bought this together with Simon Beckett's first book, which was called The Chemistry of Death. I read that. I seem to remember it being really gory, but I don't particularly mind that. I'm not sure if it's about the same characters, but I think it might be. This one says, on the remote Hebridean island of Runa, a grisly discovery awaits the arrival of forensic anthropologist Dr. David Hunter. A body, almost totally incinerated but for the feet and a single hand, has been found. The local police are quick to record an accidental death, but Hunter's instincts say otherwise. He's convinced it's murder. In fact, Runa is far from the peaceful community it first appears, and a burned corpse is only one of its dark secrets. Then an Atlantic storm descends, severing all power and contact with the mainland, and as the storm rages, the killing begins in earnest. So this one sounds pretty scary, maybe quite gory. 492 pages in this one, so a bit chunky. Maybe I will read this in June. Right, the next book on my pile, I definitely bought this one second hand because it's got a sticker from the second hand place where I bought it. It's Ian Rankin. I absolutely love Ian Rankin, and it's Rebus. I've read all of the Rebus books apart from probably the 3 most recent, which I haven't got around to yet. The only reason I haven't read Beggars Banquet yet is because this is a book of short stories. There's no other reason why it hasn't reached the top of my TBR. I do like Inspector Rebus. This says it's got 7 Rebus stories and the hard to find Death is Not the End. So I'm quite looking forward to this short story collection. I think it will be good. I've never yet read an Ian Rankin that I didn't like. Out of all the books so far, really looking forward to this one. The next book on my pile is an even larger, chunkier book. This one's 612 pages, but it's another short story collection, and this time it's by Stephen King. I believe I was actually given this book by my friend's husband, and he had 2 copies, so he kindly gave me this. I haven't actually read any short stories by Stephen King. So far by Stephen King, I've read Carey, and I've read Cell, which is a really good book. This describes itself as truly chilling tales, so we'll see if I'll be able to handle those. I do get a bit scared. Alright, next up we have another of my favourite authors, Tess Gerritsen, and this is her book Gravity, which is a standalone. Now, I've never read Gravity, but I have definitely started this book before, along with another one of hers that I've got called Harvest. They seem to be books that I serially start and don't get very far with. So I absolutely love Tess Gerritsen's Rizzoli and Isles series, the books more than the TV series. This one's a standalone and it's about space. It involves Dr. Emma Watson, who's on a mission aboard a space station, which turns into a nightmare when a culture of single-celled organisms begins to regenerate out of control and infects the crew with agonising and fatal results. I do think this is probably Last Chance Saloon for Gravity by Tess Gerritsen. I need to unhaul any of these books, I think, if I don't get around to them soon. I'm going to try this again. I hope I like it. I need to get it into my head that I don't have to keep everything by an author if there's one book that I don't particularly get on with. But I'm sure that I can give Gravity another good go. Next book on my list is Dean Koontz, Life Expectancy. I've definitely read another one of his books, and I've got a couple more on the TBR. I think these are books, probably not this one because otherwise it wouldn't have been on my list, but I think some of the others are books that my husband has read. This has got a very strange sounding blurb, so it says, in the moments before he is born, Jimmy Tock has a strange destiny thrust upon him. His dying grandfather prophesies 5 dark days in his grandson's life. 5 dates on which Jimmy will face terror and violence, malice and perversion. A storm rages. There is a chilling significance in the old man's words. The moment his grandfather dies, Jimmy emerges squalling into the world, destined to struggle against an evil so dark and pervasive, only the most extraordinary of human spirits can shine through. What dangers await Jimmy on these 5 dark days? What terrifying events must he survive? At each of the crisis points, a mystery unfolds that will challenge his understanding of good and evil, life and death, and everything in between. The next book on my list is something completely different again, and that is Moondust by Andrew Smith. I believe Moondust is actually a non-fiction book all about the Apollo moon programme, and as you can see I have started this quite some time ago. In my head this is the oldest book on my TBR, and the reason for that is because I can remember reading this part of it on the bus to work. I seem to remember buying it in the town where I used to work, and that was before I went to go and do my PGCE to study to be a teacher. When this list was written in 2008, I was already getting towards the end of that PGCE course, so I think of this as probably the oldest book of my TBR. I could be wrong. I do still really want to read this. I find the space programme really interesting, and there's no reason why I shouldn't find this book interesting. I'm not sure why I laid it back down in the first place, so I'm really looking forward to trying to tackle this one, and this is definitely one that I am going to try and tackle this month to get it off my TBR. The next book, I'm really very not sure about it. When I looked at this list and I tried to work out which books I had already axed from the TBR and got rid of, this was one of the first books I thought, oh, I think I've unhauled that. And then I went up to my shelves to find the books, and there it was, still there. And it's Peter Carey's True History of the Kelly Gang. I bought this book after watching the film about the Kelly Gang, Ned Kelly, years and years ago, and I was interested in it because I was interested in Australia's answer to Robin Hood. I find sort of outlaw stories quite interesting. I love the film Bonnie and Clyde, and I thought, oh yes, I'll read that book, find out more about the Kelly Gang. I have to say, I've now got absolutely no interest in finding out about the Kelly Gang. I think this is probably the book that is either going to really surprise me in June, or that I won't be able to get past the first few pages of. I really hope that I give it a try, but I'm really tempted to unhaul it without trying, so if you have read this, please let me know in the comments whether it's a good read. The next book on the list is The House of Sleep by Jonathan Coe. I believe I actually got this book as a present, and I think that I chose it as a present because the book I actually wanted by Jonathan Coe, The Dwarves of Death, I couldn't actually find, so I chose The House of Sleep instead, and then never read it. Don't really know much about this. I have now read the other book by Jonathan Coe. I think I might have read a couple of his books, but I don't really remember them very well. This one says, a group of students share a house in the 80s, fall in and out of love and drift apart. A decade later, they are drawn back together by a series of coincidences involving their obsession with sleep. So this is right up my street. I love sleep. Sarah is a narcoleptic who has dreams so vivid she mistakes them for real events. Robert has his life changed forever by the misunderstandings that arise from her condition. Terry, the insomniac, spends his wakeful nights fueling his obsession with movies, and the increasingly unstable Dr. Gregory Dudden sees sleep as a life-shortening disease which he must eradicate. So this book actually sounds really interesting, completely unlike the other books on the list. So I think this will be a good one to read. The final book on my pile is a very heavy book, and I believe I've started this one as well. It's actually got 2 bookmarks in it. One in the front here, a little dog bookmark, and one in the notes at the back. I definitely have started this, and this is non-fiction. This is all about language. My degree that I did at university was linguistics. I think I bought this book because I was really interested in linguistic things, such as the stories of English. This is by David Crystal, and it's about how our English language evolved and is now spoken by millions and millions of people. I can't actually remember starting this. It's got very, very, very small print. There were 2 other books on the list that were sort of linguistics related, and both of those I know I have already unhauled without reading them. But I do think that this is a book that I really should try to read, so I might dip in and out of this one and see if I can get through it, and if not I might unhaul it. But it is a subject I'm interested in, or have been interested in the past. I'm just a bit put off by the fact that it's really, really heavy and got really, really small print. Yeah, even though it's got really, really small print, it's still got over 500 pages, so quite a heavy one to get through. That brings me to the end of my list of books that I might read in June. If you saw anything you think I should read immediately, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your views on any of these books. We've got 11 in total. Please let me know in the comments how many you think I can read in June. I'm not feeling very confident. It's a lot of books, and they're very big books. I'm sure I'll be sharing other videos with you about my progress on this section of my TBR. I'll let you know at the end of the month how many I did manage to read, how many are going to be unhauled, and how many are new favourite books. Thank you for watching my possible June TBR and listening to me telling you all about the longest serving books on my giant TBR. If you've liked this video, please give it a like. Please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I will see you again soon for another video all about books. Bye for now.